So Oxfam International have released a report which shows that the richest 0.1% in society have put away 2.8 trillion in offshore bank accounts to avoid paying taxes. This is more than the wealth owned by the poorest 50% in society. And so if you're wondering why we are paying more in taxes, is because the super rich don't want to pay their own fair share. And whilst yes, I hear this from the right wing, people who are who believe our society is a meritocracy, and people own and earn wealth through their own merit, which is absolutely ridiculous. But super rich only have that wealth because our society benefits them. You wouldn't have an Amazon if people didn't have the infrastructure, or society didn't have the infrastructure for people to earn wealth, to build up wealth, and to have the wealth to be able to purchase products from Amazon. And so you cannot have a wealth without the benefit of society, without education, without internet being invented, without a whole host of these government programs and government research, government development, and society coming together, and democracy working in tandem to build a multi-billion, even trillion-dollar company like Amazon or Apple. So these companies need the people, they need the infrastructure that people pay into as well. So it goes without saying that corporations need to pay more, need to pay their fair share. And I think their fair share should be much more than they're paying right now. Now, so square this finding by Oxfam International, that the super rich aren't paying their taxes in any meaningful capacity comparative to the amount of value and wealth that they own. And then this new report, or a new kind of policy that Trump is following regarding increasing the military spending, but decreasing domestic spending, which again just reinforce our understanding that our society is run by the super rich, the billionaires, the Epstein class. Why is it that the government, don't pursue the super rich for that $2.8 trillion in taxes that they own? It's because our governments are puppeteered and they are owned by the super rich, by the billionaires that fund their campaigns, and you cannot win campaigns without the funding that billionaires invariably provide. And so it's not a surprise that Trump wants you to fight his wars, or Israel wants Americans or Europeans to fight their wars, because there are super billionaires. There are people who are billionaires and want to take the next step with regards to their wealth, and that is power, have more power, and they do it by and it's not a surprise that this is converges with the Epstein class, because the PDF files in society, particularly the billionaires, they do it because of power. And these, it's not a surprise that often these people turn a blind eye to genocide, or at worst they support genocide. And they don't care about the tens of thousands of vulnerable people who are being at the receiving end of these bombs. And so it's all consistent with the billionaire worldview that we need to fund these programs which don't support benefit and don't increase the flourishing of the everyday person, but it increases the power, the standing of the billionaires that pursue these programs. And the military industrial complex makes a lot of money for some, the super rich, makes a lot of money for people implicated in the Epstein files as well. And the fact that Trump benefits from this is not a surprise. These people are looking to make to extract as much resources from the everyday person, the working person. So and there are many studies that show that billionaires have a psychopathic tendency, or rather have an increased tendency to have a psychopathic quality. For example, when it comes to CEO, managerial, the super, the highest level roles, it shows that 20% or more, they show psychopathic tendencies. 20% of CEOs show psychopathic tendencies. This is the same amount. There's the same proportion of people who or within a prison population that have psychopathic tendencies, which mean that billionaires are basically as psychopathic as prisoners within who are living out their days behind bars, which is not a surprise. These people believe that they own and earn, they believe that they're entitled to changing the world and to change the world as they see fit. And often imperialism is at the behest of the super rich, whether they're billionaires or they're this monarchist class. It's all the same shit, and nobody who is working class, who does actually toil the field or does the hard work that billionaires require in order to acquire their wealth. None of them are actually at the receiving end of these wars or their genocidal campaigns or their extraction of taxes from society. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents. More on this in the future. Please like, comment, and subscribe. That'd be very much appreciated. Thank you.